Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from my headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news on Equinox Television, the President of the Republic is called up to be sincere and, of course, to be honest and transparent as far as the organization of the upcoming national dialogue, which he announced yesterday in a televised speech to the nation, is concerned. These are calls coming from civil society and political leaders who are questioning the credibility and sincerity of President Paul Biya's announced national dialogue, while others think that the announcement is not enough. It is not what was expected of him. We will have details in this newscast. The Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church, His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi, one of the conveners of the Anglophone General Conference, has said that honesty must be part of the upcoming national dialogue announced by the President of the Republic in his address to the nation yesterday. Without these, the expected results, notably with regards to a return to normalcy, peace and stability in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, is concerned will not be achieved. These objectives can only be achieved if the discussions at the upcoming national dialogue, and of course those who will be taking part, are honest to themselves and speak nothing but the truth. Here's an extract of what Christian Cardinal Tumi told us today.
My opinion is positive. I think it's a very good thing to do. And by the way, I have a small group. We are working together for peace. And one of the things we were doing was to collect the causes of the events, of the socio-political problems we have, and to make propositions to the President with the advice for him to call a national dialogue to solve the Anglophone problem. I seem to agree very easily with him because that was our aim. To give him a document, we have now 400 pages with the advice that he should call a meeting on the national level to solve the Anglophone problem. And as you noticed, he spent almost his 30 minutes talking on the Anglophone problem. I would tell them, let them give dialogue a chance. We should all meet. They, especially who are away and who can come and let the state keep its words, assure their liberty so that they will not be arrested, So they should give them all the guarantees that they will not be arrested if they come out. And let us hope that things would turn out to be well for the peace of our country. We need peace. Already the Prime Minister declared that the South and the Northwest and the extreme North, there are zones of economic catastrophe. So you need to go to the Southwest to see the CDC, the Cameroon Development Corporation, one of our employers in the country. Today, many workers have been laid off, and one family working has to feed about 15 people. So it is catastrophic. So the sooner the problem is settled, the better.
Senior legal mind Barrister Alice Ekom, who is the board chairperson of the Network of Human Rights Defenders in Central Africa, REDAC, has also questioned the sincerity of the President of the Republic in his announcement of a national dialogue expected at the end of this month. And she said that there must be no discrimination. There shouldn't be discrimination as far as participants in that important event is concerned. The reason why, she says, Professor Maurice Kamto, other allies, leaders of the CRM political party and militants of that political party, as well as Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and all other persons detained in connection to the Anglophone crisis, should be released so that they can take part. And there should be no discrimination as far as diasporans are concerned. Some should not be excluded from that meeting. Take a listen to Barrister Alice Come.
I'm still hungry because our president, he did a good job to say, okay, now I will speak to you. I announce you that I will organize a national dialogue. But a national dialogue means a dialogue without any discrimination. But inside his speech, you have already a lot of discrimination against politicians who are now in prison, while the law gives him all the power to stop the trial, which is going on today against Merci and Kamto and all the people arrested after last election. He didn't do that. He doesn't convince me about his sincerity at all. And when you cannot, before doing this kind of historical meeting in your country, while you are at the end of your life, you don't want to reconcile all your people before maybe leaving, and you must be sincere. Mr. President, please stop the procedures against all other Cameroonians being in prison today. You have this power, please. What can I do to convince you that this will be a very, very good act of a president who doesn't practice discriminations in his way of governing this country? Please do that. You still have time to do that. It will put you above, and it will be a very, very good, healing for Cameroonians today. Because he said that it must be inclusive. How can I believe that it can be inclusive when some of politicians are in prison? And he must not say that diaspora will be separated, the good and the bad. No. If not, will be condemned to nothing.
We also spoke to the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Front at the last presidential election in the Republic of Cameroon, first vice president of that political party, Honorable O.C. Joshua, and of course the national coordinator of the Progressive Movement political party, Jean-Jacques Ekindi. And this is what they told us concerning the president's address to the nation yesterday.
I think this pressure has yielded its fruits. This with all the diplomacy we've been going around doing at the chancelleries and abroad to make sure that all those who have something to say about Cameroon use their good offices to try to push Mr. Biya, to bring him back to reason and to make him understand that two parts of this country, two regions of this country are in a state of civil war, and that the atrocities and sufferings of the people are just too much to bear, and we need to put a stop through dialogue. Now that dialogue has been called up, we're waiting to see what it looks like. Once we'll know what the content is, because Mr. Biya is the king of big announcements and very low realizations. So we hope it will not be another Yaoundé-Douala highway, and we'll see what is on the table, we'll see what is to offer. And as we've told Mr. Biya himself, and we've repeatedly told all those around him, that the SDF and its leadership is available to offer its goods offices without any counterpart, without any counter action from the government. We're ready to give all our good offices to make sure that this situation in the northwest and southwest is brought back to normalcy. Of course, but we'll wait and see for them to tell us exactly what this dialogue holds, what is the content of the dialogue, and once we have that, we will call a National Executive Committee meeting to take a decision on whether or not we lift our previous position and by that participate in the dialogue. But I have to say and stress out that we have been calling for this dialogue for so many years, and so if there is enough in it for us to sit at it, we will not hesitate to be part of it.
Let them get in contact with Prime Minister, I don't know anybody, to tell them that we have important things to say concerning this dialogue. Please, let us have an invitation letter in order to participate to this debate. So when every opinion is represented, at that time we can see which one are matching and which one are ready for will go forward for the Cameroon. So I believe that it's a good thing. We're expecting it, and I hope that we will be in position just to come quite rapidly to a ceasefire. Guns must be stopped.
In the Northwest Regional Capital, correspondent Stella spoke to the governor, Adolphe Lafrique, and the phone of Mancon Fonagwafo III, and she compiled their views with regards to the president's address to the nation yesterday in this report.
Tuesday, September 10, 2019, President Paul Biya addresses the nation in what many have described as an unusual speech, given that it is the first time the head of state addresses the country aside his traditional February 10th and December 31st speeches. The September 10 address by His Excellency Paul Biya is prompted by happenings in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. It is for this reason that he dwelled on issues surrounding the Anglophone crisis throughout the speech. In Bamenda, the speech was followed in Homs. Governor Adolphe Lafrique, in the company of his close collaborators, watched President Paul Biya speak.
The head of state has promised it. He is realizing it. And I'm seizing the opportunity given to me today, first of all, to thank the head of state for opening a new page in the management of this crisis that should be seized by the population of the Northwest region. And like the head of state have said it all, it is open to all the stakeholders. But like he said, everybody will not be part of it.
Fonagwafo III of Mancon is one of the traditional rulers still in his palace in the crisis-hit Northwest region. While reacting to the September 10th speech, he calls on all to lend their support towards seeking for solutions to the 3-year-old crisis, which has brought severe sufferings on the population of the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon.
I'm happy he spoke to the nation. We are traditional rulers at the base. We have suffered. When you're fighting our army, you're fighting us. And you are our children. It's terrible. I hope they will listen to the president's call for peace to reign. Do you think I will support somebody from my own fandom who wants to divide? I cannot allow Mancon to be divided. Will I support somebody who wants to divide Cameroon? I will see Cameroon won as I voted in the plebiscite when I hand Mancon to the next one. I hope all of us will support this idea of dialogue and make a contribution.
The streets of Bamenda are empty. The lockdown imposed on inhabitants is still respected. Few persons, this reporter met along the streets, have no reactions to the head of state speech. Less than 3 weeks to the end of the month, everyone is waiting for the dialogue process to start and lasting solutions to the crisis, which is almost tearing the country apart, arrive at.
And in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, traditional rulers of the Fako division have said President Paul Biya's address to the nation yesterday is the right step. That's a lasting solution to the Anglophone crisis. But this cannot be achieved without forgiveness. And that is why Senator Mbela Moki is saying this is the right time to forgive. The governor of the southwest region, Bernau Kaliabila, equally spoke to our correspondent, Derek Jato, shortly after the message of the President of the Republic to the nation. Derek Jato fires and details.
And here comes the moment the Southwest population has been waiting. President Paul Biya's address to the nation. And within the first few minutes into the speech, reaction and opinion started coming in. Barrister Loctabo Evans, for instance, has been taking note.
We thank the head of state exceptionally for touching on the crisis, because the presumption that the public had was that the head of state may not even say anything about the crisis.
And Barrister John Kamani sees hope.
Well, you see, it's a speech of hope. It is a speech long awaited. Even those who are in Cameroon, who are carrying arms, will definitely be part of the dialogue.
And Governor Bernardo Kaliabila of the Southwest region says President Paul Biya, by his address, has provided the expected platform to end the Anglophone crisis.
This is the dialogue put in place, announced by the head of state. Now let them allow the population to rest, to be in peace, allow children to go to school, allow the businessmen to circulate, let them allow free circulation on the roads.
To Senator Mbela Moki Charles, President Paul Biya has given the green light, and as the nation goes into dialogue, the spirit of forgiveness should not be left behind.
The head of state went beyond extending an olive branch, but above all, as Africans, in seeking peace, we should not count the dead. Let us reconcile, let us rebuild, let us come together, let us reason together and face realities.
The Fako Conference of Traditional Rulers, through its president, Chief Njike Richard, in a recent outing after President Paul Biya's speech, was that of thanks for calling an inclusive dialogue geared towards solving the Anglophone crisis. On the street of Boya,
when he give money, they may want to do something. People take and be building at their house. They keep blaming. What is all this nonsense?
many people are now calling and praying for the consciences of those who will sit on the dialogue table to be alive, and they are also reminding them that they will be creating history, and that same history will judge them.
And there's been a rain of reactions to President Paul Biya's address to the nation yesterday on social media, and Innocent as they compiled some of them in this report.
My dear compatriots, immediately Paul Biya announced a national dialogue before the end of September. Many prominent personalities saturated the social media, being it Twitter or Facebook, with various messages. Barrister Agbobala, who has been a victim of the Anglophone crisis, says the call for an inclusive dialogue is very appreciated. The legal mind, who had spent months in Kundengi, urges those who will be attending the announced dialogue to call for the release of all those detained in connection with the Anglophone crisis. Also, the need for constitutional amendment and to ensure that the form of the state is equally negotiable. Ali Sadio, president of the Alliance of Progressive Forces, writes, "At least dialogue has been announced. May it be inclusive and profound." Ali Sadio remains a federalist. On his part, Dr. Manauda Malachi, a CBDM supporter, tweets, "I am a Cameroonian. I am patriotic. I am a Republican. I adore peace. I love my country. I bring my contribution on the dialogue table when the time is right." DJ Yimkwa, a political actor, on his Facebook page writes, Paul Biya, granted dialogue, not granted debate. Gregoire Owona, member of the CPDM Central Committee, proudly wrote on Twitter, "It is a great pride to have such a head of state to grant keen attention. What a blessing God has given the one and indivisible Cameroon. The dialogue door is wide and opened. Dialogue is here. On your marks, get set, go with all constructive proposals." The announced dialogue, many hope, actually comes to pass less than 3 weeks. Arms are crossed. It is a matter of wait and see.
I chose a prime minister who hails from the southwest region.
And speaking to us after the speech of the President of the Republic of Cameroon, in which he mentioned decentralization, the mayor of the Douala 3 municipality, Job Theophile Kwapnang, insisted on the fact that the implementation of decentralization is still having a lot of loopholes on the ground. It is not effectively implemented, and that is why they are unable to do lots of things, to carry out lots of developmental projects within their municipalities. And he insisted that as the mayors and those immediately concerned by this decentralization policy are still expecting effective implementation. Take a listen to Mayor Job Theophile Kwapnang.
The decentralization is the thing we mayors we are waiting, because without decentralization we cannot do anything in the field. We have many things to do, but we are waiting for government. Nothing is coming up, and we cannot do our best in the field. Then we need that. We need to see the decentralization be improved in the country, to leave any mayor give the chance of to his population to grow, because we are being elected to help the population. When the decentralization is not complete, we cannot do anything, because the council is very poor and we cannot have any money to help our population.
So you are waiting?
We are waiting. We are still waiting.
Coming up next, talking point. We are receiving the home front coordinator of the Cameroon Federalist Movement, ADE. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
The President of the Republic spoke to the nation yesterday, highlighting a wide range of issues, but he insisted on decentralization, and he said nothing about federalism, for which you stand as far as the form of the state is concerned. What do you think about the President's address yesterday to the nation?
Well, the very first thing is that we of the Federalists will welcome the President's address. We welcome the call for dialogue, inclusive dialogue, to resolve the crisis in the Northwest and the Southwest region in particular, and then the rest of socio-political problems in Cameroon. We hope that at the end of the day, now that they've called for dialogue, all the resolutions proposed at the conference, at the dialogue table, will be implemented.
The President made mention of decentralization, an indication that the stand of the government till now is decentralization as far as the form of the state is concerned.
Yeah, we are going for dialogue. There have been so much misunderstanding, so much disagreement in the country. We are going for dialogue. When you go for a dialogue table, you come with your own point of view, I come with my own point of view, and at the end of the day, we meet at the central point. And we of the Federalists will believe, because we have presented a document to the state of Cameroon, which we call the blueprint. We believe that if everybody reads and understands the blueprint, we are going to move out of the dialogue room with a federal system of government.
Were you expecting the President of the Republic to talk about federalism yesterday?
As of yesterday, the President was quoting the Constitution, and he could not go to federalism. He would have been violating the Constitution, which is took an oath to defend. Yeah, so we were not expecting him, but now that he came up with dialogue, which he said is actually the space has been given in the Constitution, where we misunderstand, we can come and sit down and discuss. we were not expecting him to talk about federalism yesterday, but we know without doubting that at the end of the day, we are all going to move back to a federal system of government.
The President of the Republic has announced a national dialogue coming up in about 10 days from now. And there are consultations that are to be done at the local level, that is within the national territory, and out of the country. People have to be sent, officials will be sent to the diaspora to discuss with Anglophones. Are you confident that this important event is going to be properly organized and is going to take place as it's supposed to within these 10 days?
I am very optimistic. Let me use the word optimistic, that when we see where we are coming from, we see the damage that have been caused. About 5,000 souls perish within a period of 3 years with so much destruction. Any rightful thinking Cameroonian at this moment where this golden opportunity has come for us to rebuild the damage caused will not joke, will be honest that we should come out of the dialogue room a stronger Cameroon than we were before entering into the dialogue room.
Right. The President of the Republic also indicated that there was no need for people to be asking him to free those who are in jail, because their detention or their presence in jail will not hinder the dialogue process in any way, contrary to propaganda by the separatists that had indicated that the life jail sentence slammed on Sisiku, Ayuktabi and others, for example, was going to be a major hindrance to the dialogue. What do you think about the fact that there are people who are still in jail and there are people who are in the diaspora who may not be admitted if they remain standing firm on their separatist stand?
Let me take back the president on his own words, inclusive dialogue. And then he went ahead to say there might be the possibility of a presidential grace if we meet certain conditions. So when the president himself talks of inclusive dialogue, then there is the need for him as the father of the house to look at the necessity for everybody, every stakeholder, including those who have been angry and those who have destroyed the country, to sit down on the same table. We look at each other face to face. We say, I am sorry, like he started saying yesterday, because he extended his condolences to the families of the bereaved. That was another way of saying I'm sorry. We say I'm sorry, and then we look at each other face to face. We sit down, we discuss the future of Cameroon. I would like to say there is nobody bigger than Cameroon. They might point the grave of ANYU tomorrow. They might point the grave of Babila Jonathan tomorrow, but they will never point the grave of Cameroon. Cameroon will never die. We are all passing away, but Cameroon will remain there. So nobody today, no single Cameroonian will say, only this person will go to the dialogue table, the other will not go. There is a need for everybody, even those who are in prison, life jail in prison. If there was a way to call those who are in their graves to come back for the dialogue table, we should call them. We'll give a chance to each and every person.
That's why Barrister Aliscom, for example, said that there should be no discrimination. All those who are in jail should be set free so they may take part in this important event. Those who are in the diaspora, even those who are on the separatist stand, should be admitted to the dialogue table and so on. What will you advise all those who are coming to take part in this conference to stand for? I know you're a federalist.
We will stand for the love of fatherland, patriotism. I think when we look at the European Union, they are regrouping. You see, Britain is trying to work out with the Brexit, and it is difficult. When we look at African is struggling to build an African Union. I don't see where Cameroon should be dividing. European Union is a confederation of states. So we should go ahead with the dialogue, and I believe that if we come home with a federated system of government, we have achieved something where everybody has autonomy, but there is a central government.
All right, thanks so much. ADE ANYU, you are the home front coordinator of the Cameroon Federalist Movement. Thanks for coming.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.